Welcome to Washington Hospital Today, dedicated to informing residents about healthcare topics and issues. Through programs featuring community forums and free health and wellness classes, our goal is to empower community members with the information needed to make informed health decisions. Washington Hospital has been providing healthcare to the residents of the Washington Township Healthcare District for the past 60 years. Welcome to today's presentation, Get Fit at Home the Right Way, Strengthen Muscles While Protecting Your Joints, is presented by Dr. Michael Goldin, Physical Medicine and Rehab with Washington Township Medical Foundation. And now, please welcome Dr. Goldin.
Thank you for joining me today. Today my goal is to teach you a home exercise program, first to strengthen the upper body and the core muscles, and then next to strengthen the leg muscles. My goal is to have you learn the correct exercises. We're going to start out with about 14 exercises, and then after that do about 8 to 10 exercises for the legs to teach you what you can do, make your correct muscles strong, not overly stressed joints, and feel like you got a good workout without needing to go to a gym. And with that, let's start. So this is our first exercise. I've got a resistance band hooked up to the doorway, and this is standing rows. I've got a split stance to improve balance, and we're just going to do 10 reps. The key is to keep shoulder blades pinched together and down, and keep elbows tight in by your side. And go nice and slow. 8, 9, 10. I hope I got my counting. The next exercise is going to be the pal-off press. And in order to do that, you stand with the exercise bands at the same level, about elbow height. Get a little bit of tension on the bands. And now we stand and just push out. And you should feel this in those side abdominal muscles. 9, 10. And we're going to do both sides. Good. And now we're going to come over here for knee push-ups. And the key is keep hands about shoulder width apart, elbows in tight by your side. And I only lower myself through a pain-free range of motion, which isn't that low, and that's okay. You do whatever's comfortable for you. Make sure those elbows stay in tight. Eight, 9, 10. And now we're going to do a side plank. And the key is to try to keep your spine, your legs, your upper body all in a straight line. And each time you do a repetition, you're going to bring your hand up to the ceiling. And then the other side. You can watch your hand or not, whatever you prefer. 9, 10. Okay. So now we're going to come back over to the door where the resistance band is now hanging up top to get a different angle. And we step back a little bit and kneel down a little bit. And now we're going to do a variation of a lat pull down. Again, keep elbows in, tight to your side. And 10. And now we're going to come over and do another set of push-ups. Hands about shoulder width apart, elbows in tight. Try not to let your hips sag or stick up too much. It's much better to do a lesser range of motion with perfect form than to try to go too far and break form. Okay. Now we're going to do an exercise called quadruped. I like putting one knee on a yoga block because it helps lessen how much your hips sway, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. And you just try to straighten your arm and leg out as much as you can. Eight, 9, 10, and the other side. Nine, 10, and now we're going to go into plank. And the key with this is to make sure you try to keep your legs, your spine all in a straight line, and you can hold this for as long as feels comfortable for you. If you want to make it a little more challenging, you can alternate lifting up one leg at a time. I'm going to try counting to 30 to myself. And 30. Now we're going to come back over to the door and do one more exercise to strengthen those shoulder or scapular stabilization muscles. And we keep the shoulder blades in and pinch together and the elbows down nice and tight near the side. Eight, 9, 10. And we don't shrug up those shoulders, we keep them down. Now we're going to move. and we're going to do exercises for the front shoulder muscles. I like going with a lighter resistance band for this to make sure I can keep the form as optimal as possible. And I like doing one at a time. And just keep it forward. And I like keeping the thumbs up. That puts the shoulder in a more neutral position and lessens stress on certain structures. Eight, 9, 10. And now we're going to come back over to the yoga mat. And I like putting a yoga block down between shoulder blades for this next exercise because it lessens the stress on how much your neck has to bend forward when you lift your bottom up. And so we're in position like this, and we're just going to take one leg and bring it up. Eight, 9, 10, and the other side. Eight, 9, 10. And now we're going to stay on the yoga mat. Move the yoga block out of the way and do an exercise called dead bug. So both arms up, both legs up, and knees bent. And we alternate one arm and then the opposite leg. And the other side. And now we're going to flip over and do another shoulder exercise. And we're going to use a yoga block for this. We get in push-up position with knees and hands. And the key is that we're going to use alternating one hand and the other leg to make it easier to keep form and not sag the hips. Left hand, right knee, right hand. Right hand, left knee, left hand. Try to keep those elbows in tight still. think that's 10. Now, we got one more for the shoulder. And before, we were bringing the shoulders straight forward. Now we're going to come out to the side in a different plane. So thank you for doing this circuit with me. This targeted all the major muscle groups I think that are important: the chest, the shoulders, the back, the core, the abdomen, and the low back muscles. And if you feel like doing this for a few times, rewind it back and do it again. Thank you. And now we're here for part 2 to do leg exercises. So we're going to start out with a reverse lunge. And I like one foot to be forward, the next one back, about shoulder width apart. And I don't lower myself down very far. The key is perfect form through pain-free range of motion. When you're going down as well, this is really important. The knee, I like it to not go any farther forward than the midfoot. And finally, try not to use your back leg to push off. The goal is to use your front leg to do the work. And so we're going to do 10 of these on each side. If it doesn't feel good to you, move your back foot around a little bit so that it's comfortable. And 10, and we'll do the other side. Now we're going to do a single leg deadlift. And I like keep my arms forward, and the key is to keep the moving leg in line with the upper body. So I'm touching my right leg, that's going to be my moving leg to start. And the other side. Now we're going to use the resistance bands to strengthen the side buttock muscles with an exercise called lateral band walking. And I just recommend going 10 steps one way and then 10 steps the other. And just step as far apart as feels comfortable. And I'm going to go a little farther. And then back to the center. And now we're going to come over here and do one more set of the calf raises. Using the wall for balance. And 10 on the other side. And 10. And now we're going to come back over here to the yoga mat. And we're going to do an exercise lying on our back. And again, I like using a yoga block, putting it between the shoulder blades so that we lift our pelvis up. It doesn't make our neck flex forward too much. So I'm going to bring my right knee up. And 10, and the other side. And 10, and now we're going to come over to the resistance band at the door to finish up with a couple more exercises. So my resistance band set has a nice ankle strap that I like to use for this. And so we're just going to stand a little bit far away, have hand on the wall for balance, and we're just going to practice bringing the leg into the center or into the other leg. And 10. And while we're strapped with this ankle, we're going to twist it a little bit and use hand for balance, and now we're going to come forward. And 10, and now we're going to do the other side. And it's nice to just have a wall for a little bit of balance. Eight, 9, 10. And while we're attached here, I'm going to twist it. I'm going to come over to this wall just because it's a little more comfortable for me to hold. 8, 9, 10. And I just wanted to say thank you for joining me today. This was my attempt to give you a home exercise program that you can do if you have a joint or aching pain or a nagging injury. These exercises, I feel, have a very good chance of letting you do a good workout without irritating that pain. If you've ever done physical therapy or you had an injury in the past and you want to see what are the exercises I can do next that help me maintain my ability to do the activities that I want to do, this is my offering to you. So I hope it's helpful. Thank you for joining me today.
What a great workout. Thank you, Dr. Goldin, for demonstrating. We will let you take a breath for a moment and move on to some questions. The first question we have is, should I do these exercises if they cause me pain or if I'm worried that they might cause me pain?
That's an excellent question. If you have any pain when you're doing this or you have any concerns about starting any exercise program, I recommend that you seek the counsel of your healthcare provider to make sure that anything you start, you do in a safe manner.
Great. We have another question. Regarding the equipment used for these exercises, where can I find them and what are they called?
One of the pieces of equipment that I use are yoga blocks. I like the brand Gaiam, and I can usually find them for about $10 or $11 at several box stores or on Amazon. And the specific exercise brand, resistance band brand that I like is Body Elastics. And this has several different colors of resistance band based on how much resistance there is. I think it's pretty well made, and I think it's also reasonably priced.
Can you please tell us, how do you set up and use the door anchors that you were using for the resistance bands?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So with any piece of equipment, it's always important to follow the manufacturer's instructions. I've attached all these together so they don't get tangled. I'm now going to unattach. I'll put these by the side. And so this is the door anchor, and you can see this foam piece right here. And you can imagine with this piece being outside of the door, if the door is closed, it won't pull through. So if I open the door and I set this up, please don't hurt your finger when you do this. You can even put your finger right here so it doesn't get caught between the door. And now it's closed, it won't go. One of the things that's also very important is to make sure everyone in your house or whatever building you're exercising in knows not to open that door while you're doing the exercises. You then take both of the resistance bands, and in this case, we could just use one, or both of the hand pieces, I should say. And I slid it through right here. And this is nice low friction so it doesn't rub against the resistance band. If I then attach both to the clips, now I know I'm safe. That's not going to come and that's not going to hit me. I put the right amount of tension on, and then I can do the exercise we did before, like Palloff press or any exercise, now that it's secured in the door.
Okay, great. Thank you. The last question we have is, how often would you recommend doing these exercises?
So I recommend starting out probably 2 times a week, and I recommend you start slow, start low and go slow. As you build up, you can do it more frequently, and in the video I actually recommend that if you feel good, you can do it again. One of the big principles in sports medicine is that you don't want to increase any sort of training volume more than 10% week over week. And that's not to say you can do it 10% every week over week. That's the max. So my recommendation, if it hurts, don't do it. And if you feel any sort of soreness, you want to make sure that you gradually increase this as opposed to ramping up your training volume too quickly.
Okay, great. Well, this concludes our program. Thank you, Dr. Goldin, for this educational presentation. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in. The entire broadcast of today's event will be available on our Facebook page and YouTube.